The views expressed on the following program are not necessarily those of WPSL. However, we do encourage you to like and share them on social media such as Facebook and YouTube and all of your friends. Howard Insurance of Port St. Lucie presents the African American Scene with Rudy Howard.
Good evening, good evening, good evening. Always glad to be with you here on a Wednesday night. Oh my, a lot of stuff going on, I'll tell you. Uh, Let me first let you know that we're undergoing a little bit of an expansion. So sometime in the next 60 days or so, we're going to be moving. In the interim, you might have a little bit of difficulty, but we will always get back to you. But we're going to be in transition. They're building out the space that we're going to occupy, and if you know anything about permits around here, it's a tough thing to do. But we're going to endure. Listen, I have to tell you, I am reading the Communist Manifesto for the third time, and I'm doing that because everybody uses the word Marxist whenever they disagree with something that the left had to say.
Well, mainly they do that every time they disagree with something the left has to say.
Yes, they do. They call them Marxists. Now, I'm going to say this to you. Marx and Engels' book is mostly a theory about what capitalism will do to society and the outcomes that you can anticipate from a capitalist society where you have the bourgeoisie and the proletariat. And if you take the time to read it, some of the things they have said in Marx and Engels' book have already come to pass. One of the things that they said that struck me like a lightning bolt is that the bourgeois eventually would try to control education as a means of controlling the proletariat. Aren't we seeing that right now? Aren't we seeing an attempt to control education as a means to control the public? So now that was done all the way back in the 1800s, but their examination of what would happen under a capitalist society, and they make some projections and have some theories about what happens to the proletariat, which is the working class, and what happens to the bourgeois, which is the upper class of society. And while I do not subscribe to communism in any stretches of the imagination, so let me get you off of that wagon right away, there are things about what Marx and Engels said that have some value. It's like anything else. You know, if you carefully examine an opponent, you know, when I played basketball about 50 pounds ago, I could carefully examine my opponent and I could find things about that opponent that I might like to emulate or things that I would try to stop if I had to play against him. Well, the same thing's true about society. There are things about what they have said in their book that are worthy of thought process and to give serious consideration to as part of what we do in our economic society. I have said not only once, but probably 50 times, our economic system is broken. And I am not opposed to capitalism, as you know. I'm an entrepreneur, but our economic system is broke. It needs to be fixed. And we cannot continue to do what we have been doing and expect that to solve the problems that ail us, because it will not. We have to modify some of the approaches that we're taking with respects to our economy, and that can be done. One of the other books that I read, which I thought was very good, Robert Reich wrote a book called Saving Capitalism for the Many and Not the Few. And in there, he gives a prescription for several changes that can be made to help to make a more equitable society in terms of folks being able to survive in today's economic environment. You know, one of the things our conservatives like to tell us is that, well, our poorest people live better than the poorest people in Africa or India or Asia. Well, that doesn't mean jack to me. That's a cop out, really. But in any event, we got Steve on line one. Yes, Steve.
You know, Rudy,
Yes, sir.
capitalism it works real well if you let it work.
Right.
We don't let it work in this country. We do what I call cherry picking economy. And that's where you go in and cherry pick the laws and the breaks you want to give certain groups, and then they become superior groups just because the other group can't qualify. That's what's got to stop. If you're going to be equal, you've got to treat equal.
You know, I kind of agree with you, Steve. I had this debate with a good friend of mine. And I said, I think that if you really let capitalism flow in its intended form without all the manipulation and tricks, it might not be a bad way to go, because everybody would have more of a chance to compete. But the way things are now, there's no fairness in competing.
Now it's a rigged system. It's all a scam now.
It is.
It's just a scam. I mean, it's the old trick of, hey, look over there, and while you're looking left, they steal your wallet out of the right side of your pants.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's what we're doing in this country now, and it's crazy, because everybody's going to have to get on the same page, or we're not going to have a book.
Well, Steve, one of the things that we have to do, and you might disagree with this, but one of the things that we have to do is allow the reformulation of unions to give the working class more of a voice in what's taking place in the workplace.
I'm all for the union.
Okay.
I was a local 652 member for 11 years, and I'm FOP member.
Okay. Okay.
So I'm pro-union, because union gives the average guy power.
That's right.
And he gives them power in money, gives them power in votes.
Yep.
Just pure numbers. So yeah, I'm pro-union all the way. But the problem is, we've got too many ignorant, lazy people who say, well, I'll let somebody get it for me as long as I don't have to do it.
Right.
It doesn't work that way.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. My mother retired from the Philadelphia Inquirer, and I forget the name of that union, but she was in that union for 20 something years, and they treated her pretty good.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you, sir.
The guy that I fostered, a kid who was a troublemaker 7 years ago, is now a master certified installer of fire sprinklers in schools and big buildings. I was his mentor. You mentioned having me on your back.
Doesn't that make you feel good? Doesn't that make you feel good?
Yes, it does, because he's now making $32.50 an hour as a union master, and he's got new car, wife, kid, house, and he's a citizen now that's contributing.
That's a beautiful story.
Taken away.
Nice story.
So yeah, I'm proud of him. Real proud of him. But you know, America, that's what you've got to do. You've got to get off your cellulite and get moving if you want to stay free.
Yes.
And if you want to stay capitalist, then you've got to allow capitalism.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. There's a little problem with a feedback in one of our lines, but we still got you, Steve.
That's all right. But no, that's the way I feel about it. I'm just I'm kind of like a Puritan. You know, if you're going to have capitalism, let's have pure capitalism, not modified. It never works.
Always a pleasure, Steve. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay. He's
I like what he said.
Oh yeah.
Get above your cellulite.
Yeah.
That's the greatest way I've ever heard it put. Because there's other ways to say it that doesn't sound right for radio.
It's good.
That's perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you, Steve.
Now, I got some. This is your night tonight. You could talk. I'll talk about anything you want. Nothing is out of bounds. I'm going to throw a couple things out here just to stir up the pot. Do you think the average person is concerned about the browning of America? We keep hearing that it's going to happen. The latest projection I heard is going to be like 2032. Before it was like going to be 2040 something, but I heard now it's going to be like 2032. And that by the end of this year, the majority of the youth under 21 will be brown as opposed to white. Does that concern you? If it does, you know, please feel free, call up. I want to hear what your point of view is on that. Another topic. We have got to stop the spread of false information. We have just got to stop the spread of false information. These conspiracy theories and false information, we have got to put a stop to that. It is absolutely destroying our country. And unfortunately, conservatives who I used to think as strong individualists are falling in line right behind the words of Donald Trump. Whatever he says goes. Right, wrong, or indifferent. And we got John on line one. Yes, John.
I want to talk about drugs.
You want to talk about what?
Sex, drugs, and rock and roll.
Oh, oh, that John. Okay, John. What's up, man?
Listen, drowning of America was predicted many, many years ago, and I'm not against it by any means, as long as they have a mother and a father to raise them. You know what I mean?
I hear you.
I think if you're going to have children, you should be committed, should be married. That's just my view, you know. The other thing, I want to make one more statement, if you don't mind, Rudy.
Sure.
You know, the pros and cons about masks and especially children in school, I think it would be a lot easier if they wore the plastic shield, don't you?
If they what now?
The plastic shield as a mask.
Oh. Well, those are acceptable. I have some.
Wear them, though.
I have some of those myself, to tell you the truth.
Yeah. I think I saw you with wearing them.
Yeah, at Walmart. Yeah.
But what I'm saying is they show the kids with a big neckerchief around their mouth or a mask. And it's uncomfortable to be in class for 6 hours, 7 hours, whatever it is. But I think if they allowed them all to wear the shield, it wouldn't be that problem, don't you think?
John, I don't think there would be any prohibition against the kids wearing a shield instead of a mask.
They should encourage it. You know, DeSantis is a Trump clone, you know, and well, you know that.
Yes, I do, of course.
You know what he said recently? escalation in the pandemic and in the COVID-19 is seasonal.
Yeah.
Seasonal. Yeah. So let's lose, 100,000, and when the season changes, we'll be all set. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
it's ridiculous.
It is.
Anyway, don't get me started, will you please, Rudy?
Okay, John.
All right, I'm going to be listening to you.
Okay, thank you, John.
Give Cliff a hug for me, will you please?
All right, will do.
Thank
It's
you.
my buddy John Lombard. Now it's funny. One of my topics was about masks, so he got it. I have a good friend of mine, who her kids are about to go back to school. She desperately wants them to go to class, but she wants the kids to wear masks. And she's asked me and a bunch of her other people that she knows to make phone calls to the county asking that they have a mask mandate for the kids. And I did make my phone call. I think it is absolute tragedy that we go back to masks, but I don't think there's much choice about it. And Florida, because DeSantis never really cracked down on us like some of the other states, we were never really able to get it under control. So now we're one of the leading states in the country as far as the Delta variant is concerned. And that's sad. And there's plenty of vaccine out there. But for some reason, God only knows why, COVID vaccines have become a political item. I don't know why. You had to get a polio vaccine, you had to get a smallpox vaccine as a kid, all these things that we had to have just to go to school. And now all of a sudden, trying to get make people take a COVID vaccine, the government is trying to seize control of you. They're trying to control your life. They're trying to make you get a vaccine when you don't need a vaccine. What kind of garbage is that? That's just garbage. Garbage, garbage, garbage. And we just keep hearing medical professionals tell us there's no truth to it, but people still keep persisting on it. If you remember last week, one guy called up and he got mad because I said people that didn't get vaccines were stupid. Yes, I said that, and I'm going to say it again. If you don't get a vaccine, you are dumb. It's just ignorant. Why would you take the risk of your life for what? Because Trump told you to? That's insanity. Okay. That phone number is 340-1590. That's 340-1590.
Perhaps they're thinking that getting the vaccine is like a conspiracy theory about it, and they're afraid to take it. But on the other hand, they'll be the most vocal against everybody who does take the vaccine.
Yeah, you know what? Some of the things that my conservative friends do really freak me out. Now, and I'm going to tell you, when Colin Kaepernick took a knee at a football game, conservatives lost their mind.
Yeah, they started demonizing prayer. Yeah.
Yeah, he's anti-American. He doesn't love this country. Now, when the conservatives descend upon the Capitol and beat Capitol police officers with flagpoles and hockey sticks, and that they're not anti-American. Those protests are proper. So now, which protest do you find objectionable? Colin Kaepernick taking a knee or the people descending upon the Capitol trying to kill people because they didn't vote the way they wanted them to vote?
That's an easy answer too. Not a hard question.
Yeah, it's not a hard answer at all. So now, if you saw any of that yesterday, and in my office I have dual monitors. So when there's something of real importance on, I can put the hearing on one monitor and work on my other monitor. So I was watching part of it, and I'll tell you, quite frankly, I was spellbound by the whole testimony of those officers. And I got choked up a couple times listening to them testify about what they went through, only to find that Laura Ingraham thinks that they all had perfect acting class lessons and that it was all a big act and a fake. Well, you know what? If you thought that, I don't know what to say about you, because there was nothing fake about that. That was as real can get. The tears those guys were shedding while they were sitting there talking, those tears were real. That pain was real. Did you see they showed a picture of the guy's foot where they had dropped a speaker on his foot as they were trying to descend upon the Capitol? And I got to tell you, what were they trying to do? Do you think they were faking? If you saw some of the highlights of that testimony, do you believe that was staged? Do you really think they staged that testimony before Congress about what happened to them? If you do, please call up 340-1590. That's 340-1590. Do we owe them answers about what happened on January 6th? I think we do. And I'll tell you, quite frankly, I said this 2 days after January 6th, and I'm saying it again tonight on July 27th. We will find out some things about what happened and what led up to that, which is going to shake you to your core. One of the things that we've already found out from General Milley, which I had suspected right from the outset, if Trump could have got the military to overthrow the results of that election, he would have did it. He would have done it. I don't care. Call up and argue with me if you want, but he would have done it. And Milley had to have a special meeting with his people in case that was to happen. And I think as time goes on, you're going to find out more and more about exactly all of the things that happened leading up to January 6th. And I think you're going to be alarmed. I think you're going to be upset by what you ultimately learn about what happened on January 6th. And we got Winnie on line one. Yes, Winnie.
How you doing? How you doing, Cliff and Rudy?
Good.
Yeah, January the 6th, I saw that. Oh, saw that. And they got Trump support. They got so angry because he lost.
Yeah.
And they went there and they got together and they tore up the place and and beat people up. You know, one officer, black officer, they call him in, all them in this, in that,
Yep.
N-word, and things like this, and I'm supposed to be bananas. And they just went angry mobs because he lost.
Yep.
And I was a Trump supporter. But I showed that food. I flew and took no Greyhound bus and they go crazy. Nothing like this. He accept that he lost, but that's how it is. You win and lose.
That's exactly right.
Thing like that. But I would not be voting for him again. Can a man raise to the prison? Everybody did know that long time ago.
Yep.
They try to accept the man lost, and someone still believe that he ain't in the chair, the White House.
That's right.
And that's that mindset. And to me, I think they kind of brainwash or something about the people mindset.
I think so.
How it is, Rudy, how these folks they just got problems.
Yeah.
I'm talking really mad. I'm talking about. I heard that Donald Trump think about running again in 2024. We'll see, but we'll see. Anyway, that's what it is. People have to move on from that, for Donald Trump, accept that he lost and keep on, move on, move forward from that. But you know how people be, people be people. Anyway, y'all have a good night.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Winnie. Thank you for calling. We got Bob on line 3. Yes, Bob.
How you doing?
Okay.
I got a couple questions for you.
Okay.
Number one, and can I ask you first, and then you can answer them? Number one is, I'd just like to know what you think of Biden, how he's doing. Number two is, I remember hearing his vice president say he would not take the vaccination if Trump had anything to do with it, which he did. And number three, aren't you glad that a bunch of white rednecks went to the Capitol instead of a foreign country that was going to really do some damage? That's it.
Okay. Let's start with number one. You're gonna have to repeat number two, but number one, I am very, very pleased that Joe Biden is president. He's brought some dignity back to the office. He brought some decorum back to the office. And I appreciate that. I appreciate the decorum and the manners that he brought back to the presidency. Item number two, you said was, I guess
it was Harris.
What was number two?
Yeah, the vice president said that she wouldn't take the vaccine if President Trump had set it up.
Oh, she said, oh, well, okay. I guess I can understand that.
Right, but all the vaccine is there because of Trump.
Well, let's say that he did, in fact, let me give him his credit. I won't do like conservatives do. I will give him his credit. He invested early on to help with the creation of the vaccine. There's no question about that. That he gets credit for doing that. And the Operation Warp Speed, that was his baby. The rolling out of the vaccine was a disaster. And thank God that Biden came in and he rolled it out. Now, as far as your third point is concerned, at what point was I supposed to be afraid that a bunch of foreigners were going to come over and take over the Capitol? And to the point where I'm glad that a bunch of rednecks descended upon the Capitol. I don't get that.
Well, that was the warning.
Huh?
That was the warning. If the Capitol Police can't handle the rednecks, how are they going to handle China or Russia? You know, they're little undercover people with guns, real guns.
Well, you don't think, well, first off, there's a couple things that there was a lot of those people that descended upon the Capitol that were armed. I don't know if you heard one of the guys that testified yesterday said he saw bumps and lumps in several of the protesters' bodies indicating that they had firearms. And some of them shot guards with the tasers. So the point that you're trying to make is, do you think that Russia or China could descend upon the Capitol without our army raising up and going absolutely berserk against them? You don't think that would happen?
All I'm saying is 5 or 6 big secret agent type Russians or Chinese could have just walked in with a couple bazookas and taken care of the whole House and Senate right there, and the Vice President.
I don't think so.
I
don't think
would have
so.
walked right in without making a fuss and walked in the door.
I don't think so. I don't think so. I think we're going to find out part of the reason why what happened is because Trump had put the brakes on a lot of stuff that might normally have been done, but he told them not to do it. I think we're going to find that out. If I was a betting man, I think there's a 70% chance that we're going to find that out. The other thing I think we're going to find out, Bob, is that there was money and organization behind those protesters. You had protesters coming from all over the country.
That's kind of like that's how it's been all summer long with Black Lives Matter and all the rest of them.
So you think, people keep doing that. So you equate what happened at the Capitol to Black Lives Matter?
No.
Oh, okay, good. I'm glad.
I'm just saying, I think they were upset and they were trying to prove a point, and Black Lives Matter tried to do their showing a point, or whatever you want to call it.
Well, I think, you know what? I don't have a problem with the fact that the Trumpers were going to the Capitol to try to prove a point or protest. I think that's perfectly okay. I think what they did was wrong. The protesting, being unhappy about the results, I think was perfectly within bounds. But the attacking of the Capitol Police and breaking into offices of senators and Congress people, that was wrong. You can't justify that, huh?
I agree with that.
Okay.
That was the wrong thing to do, but at the same time, they showed how easy it was. And if the government really wanted to, they'd have no problem.
No, I don't think so. I think just hang on. Call me in about another 3 or 4 months when you find out. I think you will find out that Trump had put the brakes on stuff for that law enforcement was hamstrung to do to prevent the eruption from getting to where it got to. Just like you're going to find out there was a purposeful delay in deploying the National Guard. We're going to find that out.
Yeah, I guess. Hey, I do have one more question for you.
Okay.
Do you know anything about the latest statue that was erected in Virginia, in Richmond,
No.
in the last 2 years? There's a new statue.
I'm familiar with Richmond, Virginia. I used to go down Monument Road. That was quite a sight many
Yes, it
years
was.
ago. Huh?
Yes, it had some beautiful work there. But this statue is of a black young man on a muscular horse, just like on Monument Avenue, all the generals and stuff. But this black individual has cornrows and he's wearing sneakers. Check it out.
I will.
It's on the web. It's very impressive. If people want to see statues that have been around for 100 years, 200 years being torn down, you ought to check this one out. That's only, I think, 2 years old.
So your point is that shouldn't be there?
If we're not going to have any statues, let's not build any new statues.
Okay, so we can't build statues of true heroes.
Well, if you check out this one I'm talking about, maybe next week you can tell me what the name of that hero is.
Well, I will look it up. I can assure you I will. But,
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you for telling me that. Yeah, I'll look it up. He's familiar with Monument Cliff. Monument Boulevard was a road in Richmond, Virginia, a very famous road. It was just filled with all of the Confederate soldiers and generals. And when you rode down that street, you just couldn't, I mean, it was just filled with them. I'm sure they're all gone now, but
I know up in Massachusetts where you've been, there are a lot of Union statues in some of the commons and parks.
Yeah,
up there, and even the old cannons,
yeah,
Civil War cannons. Amazing. And this kid on the horse was wearing tennis shoes.
Yes, and cornrows. He said the kid on the statue, he said it's very muscular build kid, and he had cornrows and tennis shoes on, riding a horse.
Wow.
I never heard anything about it, but that doesn't mean anything that, I didn't hear it.
Well, all the attention's going to like the remote, like Robert E. Lee and all those major figures from the Confederate side. And this is amazing. See, there are things that the media like to focus on, and this one here probably didn't quite help them with the media's agenda of it all, because the media's kind of got to take some of that guilt on there too, because of everything that's going on. They pick and choose, and they go against the Centers for Disease Control and insist. But then again, we got to wear the masks when we have to, even when we don't have to. Like, we don't have to wear masks when we go into a store now.
Mm-hmm.
But if I see anybody wearing a mask, I always have one nearby because I don't want anybody to be nervous.
Mm-hmm.
Unnecessary, nerve-wracking situations. I don't like to create those. So I intentionally will go ahead and wear a mask just to keep others feeling safe.
I do that too. I went into Walmart yesterday. Yesterday morning, and I put my mask on, and then I went into Winn-Dixie last night, and I put my mask on. So I do the same thing because, and I'm vaccinated. Mm-hmm. But just because it's a courtesy thing, just like getting a vaccination is really about a courtesy, not only for yourself, it's for your neighbors and your loved ones. Why expose them, so,
or why make them think they might be exposed?
Right.
If they want to wear a mask and they go somewhere and I see it. If I see anybody wearing a mask before I go in, you go to your doctor's office, you got to wear a mask.
Oh yeah,
absolutely. Right.
Yep. Yep, doctor's offices, they make you wear a mask. Now, I will tell you this. I don't know if everybody else has felt this, but with what is happening with these hearings for January 6th, I am absolutely alarmed at how close we came to losing our democracy. Now, my conservative friends that are listening right now are going to say that's a big, huge exaggeration, but it's not. We came terribly, terribly close to losing our democracy. And that's just a horrifying thought to me, that we would be willing to sacrifice our democracy because we couldn't have our way. That's terrible. We don't get our way all the time. And it's like, you know, one of the big things that conservatives used to say to me 7, 8 years ago was Black people had to stop being the victim. Matter of fact, a guy I was good friends with in high school, he and I fell out because his thing was, you can't tell me about racism because you just play the victim. Now, who has played the victim any more than Donald Trump? He has played the victim personified to a T, whining and complaining. And then, listen, this is the thing that really gets me. He complained about the fact that they needed to get a hold of, I believe it was the rotors or something with the computer system. He said that's the key. Now, they've been working on this vote count in Arizona 3 months, 4 months, Cliff.
I know it's been going on for some time now.
Yeah, spent maybe $7-8 million or so. There's no indication that there's any substantive change to what happened in the past. So did we just throw money out the window? I don't know.
Again, or still?
Again, yes, right. So, but it was a response to Donald Trump that he wanted it done, so they felt compelled to do it. Wow, I don't know. I just
Did
wish
the taxpayers pay for that, or did he pay?
Oh, I think the taxpayers are. There was part of I think there was somebody that helped fund it, but you know, you're using the taxpayers' facility, and you're using the taxpayers' equipment, you know, and people to oversee the equipment.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, but I'll tell you, it's a thing that I hope we can get beyond at some point, because we're locked in a bad way in terms of our politics right now. Very bad way. So, and I don't see how we're going to get out of it anytime in the near future, to tell you the truth. Oh, and let me tell you, my buddy came by my office today, one of my listeners, Russ, and he bought me another one of his sports books, and he has an initialed one. He has an autographed one for a copy for me. I will give that book away next week. I'll make up a trivia question so you can win the sports book. Those sports books are pretty neat. So we covered everything we wanted to talk about. I don't know if we're going to, what can we do about stopping the spread of false information?
Oh, that's a good one.
How can we do that? What can we do to stop the spread of those conspiracy theories? And the problem was most people that believe in conspiracy theories will say, there's an element of truth to the conspiracy theories.
There's an element of truth to every lie. A little bit of truth just to make it believable.
Yeah.
And what did we learn in grade school? If you tell a lie, that's not it, because you're going to have to cover for that lie with yet another lie at some point, and then you're going to have to cover that lie with yet another lie.
The problem that we have now, which we didn't have as we were growing up, you can tell a lie and it can multiply so fast.
Oh,
God, you can tell a lie and it is all over the community.
faster than the truth.
Yes.
Yeah.
And a lie almost always spreads faster than the truth.
And today with social media,
yep,
something goes viral. You know what that means? That means it's out. And you know, hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people will find something, and because it rings their bell, they let it go viral. They just keep sharing it and sharing it and sharing it.
Yeah.
And when it goes viral, that means it's out of control. It's really getting out there. And yeah, most of the time, that truth with that lie with a little tiny bit of truth in it seems I guess, although the truth doesn't dilute the lie or the lie doesn't dilute the truth, something's got to give at some point, you know. Maybe we ought to kind of keep an eye out and try to find the source of all lies, because most of the lies that we have today go back a long ways.
I'm going to say this, and this is going to be a very unpopular statement I'm going to make. I think part of the fascination which Donald Trump is due to the browning of America. I think they cling to Trump because he is a prototypical white person of power that they can look up to and feel as though they're being protected from the invasion of people who are not like them into the seats of power.
You know, that's kind of common among the red-headed, blue-eyed white people.
Yeah.
The reputation, there's a fear that a lot of brown-skinned people have when it comes to red-headed, blue-eyed white folks. I don't know. I've seen it. I don't understand it, but I know it's there. There's something about, maybe it's the Irish European or Irish Scottish, and that's right up my bloodline. So, you know, what am I saying? You know, are we guilty because we have blood flowing in our veins that go back to a lot of bad people? I don't know, but that would be part of the what they're teaching and trying to teach in the schools to the kids. You know, the critical race theory.
Mm-hmm.
So, but you kind of got to wonder about some of that.
Yeah. You have to. It's an uncomfortable truth that I just spoke, but if you ask somebody to tell you why they support Donald Trump in light of all the things that he's done, all the lies he's told, all the misstatements that he's made, all the wrongful deeds that he's done, it's tough to come up with anything else. And Steve on line one.
Yes. Steve, Rudy, we've had our moments. I'm
yes.
Sorry.
I can't hear him.
That's all right. I still have respect for you. I'm hanging in there with you.
Hold on, Steve. I'm trying to get you.
You got to speak right into your phone because you're like way down at the bottom, and I got you full blast, and I don't want it to howl.
I'm sorry.
There you go. It sounds good there. Right close to the phone.
All right. Question number one.
Okay.
We spoke
Huh?
January 6th, and we talked about these bulges and things inside of people, waste and things like that. The first thing I asked myself is, how many weapons were confiscated from these people on January 6th? My second question is, what are the policies that you, Rudy, do not approve of from the administration of Donald Trump? And I'll hang up and listen.
Wait, clarify that. What don't I approve of? The administration of who?
Yeah, I'm talking about policies that you spoke about how you did not approve of his demeanor. You were talking about, how presidential, how people should act presidentially when they're in that position. You did not approve of his mannerisms or his way of acting as a president. That I understand, and I don't have a problem. I can appreciate that issue. But he was the president, and what was more important to me was not so much about how he could say silly things, stupid things. He could act really, honestly speaking, immature sometimes. But what really meant more to me were the implementation of policies that he believed in. So that's why my second question is not about his personality. It was not about how he spoke out and said things and acted like an ass sometimes. But, it's the policies that meant more to me than some of the things that he said and did sometimes. So that second question is aimed toward his policies, not his personality or his demeanor or how he delivers himself. But that first question is equally important to me because you spoke about these policemen,
Okay.
colleges, things like that.
Much longer. Rudy's not going to have time to answer that question because we're down to the final 2 minutes of the show, Steve. So, and that was about the weapons.
I'm leaving.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Thanks. He was talking about the weapons confiscation, and I heard on the news throughout the day. I listen in to something at all times, and I heard that they have confiscated the concealed weapons permits of all the people that they confiscated weapons from on January 6th. And the other one was, what policies do you not like about Trump? Like maybe he shoots from the hip, or he's like a Harry Truman or something.
Okay. Well, let's start first things first. I think the tax break that he gave to the upper class was abysmal. We have people who need health insurance, and he gave a monstrous tax break to the rich people and is unwilling to provide help for people for their health insurance. I also strenuously object to his increasing of the defense budget. We spend so much money on defense, and we have homeless people and a need for affordable housing, and we keep spending more and more money on munitions. And to me, it's a waste of money because the war is not fought in hardware anymore. The war is being fought in software, and that's where we need to put our resources. I'll be glad to answer some more of those questions for you next week. I can very easily tell you what I don't appreciate about his policies. But I'd like to thank you so much for tuning in to the African American scene. God bless, be safe, and I will see you next Wednesday right here for the African American scene.
The African American Scene with Rudy Howard, presented by Howard Insurance every Wednesday evening in the 6 o'clock hour, with archives on YouTube. This is WPSL, Port St. Lucie, the talk of the Treasure Coast.